Hey everyone, I know it's been a while and I haven't been uploading videos, but that's because I'm crazy busy working at a law firm with Toronto lawyer Joseph Neuberger at his firm. And we are doing a podcast that I want to share with you. And here's a magnificent clip from one of the more recent episodes, episode 5. And I'll give you links so you can go watch the whole thing. But the insane story of a man who lost his license to practice massage because he gave his own wife a massage. These are the things that we come across when we're working in the legal system. And I highly recommend that you go to the Not on Record podcast and subscribe to it, hit notifications so you find out when they're uploading and so on, because it's been up for a while. And it's a really fantastic story. I mean, it's a devastating story, but um, I'll just let you listen to it. But definitely check out the podcast. You can see what I'm up to, and you can follow all of the crazy stories coming out of this law firm where I now thankfully work. Well, let's look at creating a different sort of hybrid system that's going to function on its own, like a human rights tribunal. So you were just involved in a case that was being arbitrated in a separate sort of, like, it wasn't the regular court of law, right? It's a tribunal system.
It was called the Kangaroo Court.
The
But
kangaroo
was this
court.
about massaging your wife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
So let's talk about
this is
how
a great
how
one.
that can happen, because there were things unique to that particular
This is
judicial
great.
body.
Nobody will believe this who watches this.
All right.
Give it in excruciating detail and pain.
Sure. All right. So,
Let's all toast first,
yeah, no, and take
because I
it
know how
very.
much this story
Yeah,
makes you want
no.
to drink.
No, this really is.
It's
It
crazy.
really is a tragedy,
But-
and it's there's no silver lining at the moment.
All right. So there's the College of Massage Therapists, registered massage therapists, who are a self-governing body. So it's like a doctor or lawyer or what have you. They have the authority to kick people out of their organization and so on and so forth, as rules by the government. One of the rules is, it's really kind of a good intent, which is to root out sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is defined as any sexual act between a member of the college and a patient. And a patient is defined as anybody who receives, in this case, a massage. And a massage is defined
It's hard to keep
as-
your face straight during this. Eh?
It's defined as the manual manipulation of a body part
And we're not talking about we're not talking about those, boss.
to alleviate
You know what? Shoot.
It's a true
The
story.
table there.
pain, discomfort, or increased range of mobility, right? Which basically includes, from foot massages to shiatsu to whatever you want. Well, so my client, who was a dues paying member and a member of good standing, happened to mention to another person who was also a member of the college that his wife was a Thai massage therapist, but not regulated. She wasn't part of the college, and that she was teaching him techniques, and he was working on her as well, practicing techniques. Well, this person promptly realized, wait a second, that's a violation of the rules. You can't be massaging your wife. That's a
Citizens
patient.
arrest.
This is real.
And she's obligated, or this person is obligated to report any suspected for fear of, right? She would be turned in for, herself for, because it's the Soviet system, essentially, if you got to report your, any wrongdoing. So, of course, she
Or Mao's China.
so she promptly, as a member of the Stasi, goes and, says, look, this guy's sexually abusing somebody. His wife. All right. So they hire an outside professional.
Again, I just want to say this is an absolute, unequivocal, true story.
They go out and they hire
Crazy.
a professional firm to go and investigate this. The college does. So they take his dues, pay for an investigator to go and meet with him and
Paying
chat
for
with
your
him.
own kangaroo
Totally.
trial.
At
Right.
some exorbitant rate.
That's exactly it. And sure enough, he says, well, yeah, I massaged my wife. What do you want,
As one is wont to do.
Right. But, we were clothed. It was, I did everything properly. It was in our house. I didn't pay, she didn't pay me. There was no insurance.
Not directly.
Right. Yeah. So
Sorry, honey.
I have to, I end up before this tribunal because they have a zero tolerance policy. And their zero tolerance is you must be kicked out of the, as a massage therapist, you got to get kicked out of the college if you sexually abuse people. Now,
And so let's just a little quick reminder: the wife is not the complainant here.
No, she's not.
the wife did not testify. She refused.
Not part of the proceeding.
She refused to speak to the investigators. She was like, "Piss
You.
off, go yourself," right? But unfortunately, he confessed to his crime without recognizing that it was a crime. So, we find ourselves in front of this tribunal, 5 women, sitting there, and we're in this boardroom. And they have, the prosecutor there for the college, and they've got an independent counsel to tell.
Starring Tom Cruise.
To tell.
Yeah, they have an independent lawyer at an exorbitant rate to assist them with how to run a tribunal hearing.
That's exactly it, because they're all not lawyers, right? They're,
Morons.
Your words, not mine.
In which there's no complainant.
Exactly.
I think I have enough liability insurance for that one.
Right.
But I think on the record it would substantiate itself on a lawsuit.
So
It's ridiculous.
So lo and behold, this provision had actually been challenged because here is the project creep. All right. So you can imagine.
Good phrase, Project Creep.
Because that's exactly
the
what
big
it
picture
is.
of what's going on right now.
So you've got, we can all say, look, it's not a good idea for a doctor to be prescribing to his family members or his wife, medicine. Okay, we can all get, because that could lead to conflict of
addictions.
interest. Exactly.
Yeah.
We can also see that it may not be, a good thing if a psychiatrist is hitting on his patients.
Absolutely.
Agree. All right. So you introduce these regulations and you say, look, people who are doctors shouldn't be doing this. But here's the thing. Doctors are not the only people in our field of medicine. All right. What gets expanded is we've got the Chinese traditional medicine.
Traditional medicine.
Right.
Acupuncture.
So acupuncturists fall under this umbrella. Massage therapists, speech therapists.
Where massage therapy, your weapons are your hands.
Your weapons are your hands, right? So you can appreciate that there are certain instances that, given that, for example, massage therapy, you could invoice, right? Insurance could cover. So you could have rules that say you don't get to bill, but that's not it. It's everybody, every patient, all right? And of course, the definition of massage is so loose to include everything. The irony, of course, is he should have said we were naked and I was manipulating her clitoris, and then maybe he'd have a defense. But because he said,
Think about that. But think about that for a second. Had he said we were in the midst of sex,
right?
That might have been a defense. But God forbid you should just relax your wife with a massage.
Right. So imagine the following scenario. The wife is 8 months pregnant. She plops down in the couch, puts her feet up, and says, "Honey, my dogs are barking. Can you massage my feet?" And if he was a good, responsible member of the
College of Massage Therapists.
college, he would say, "I'm sorry, sweetie, I cannot sexually abuse you in that way, but I can refer you to somebody and you can schedule and you can pay them tomorrow, all right? But, I'm sorry, I can't do this, all right?"
But if we did it during the course of sex,
But here's
So this gets better. It's the reasonable hypothetical.
right. So here's even better, right? Of course, she wasn't brought up on charges because she wasn't a member of the college. But you could have, in reality, if she was a member of the college, they would be simultaneously sexually abusing each other by both being registered massage therapists, practicing massages on each other. All right? Like, this is where we are at. All right?
But there was actually.
is there anything that we're missing?
Wait.
Just let's just give some benefit to this rules and this call. Is there anything we're missing in this analysis?
Zero. All right? She didn't complain. Okay? The relationship predated him becoming a massage therapist. So he did not use his position in order to gain a sexual advantage. There was no exchange of money. There was no billing. There was nothing that could potentially be fraudulent for which you would have concerns of OHIP being billed or an insurance company or anything. Nothing. This is literally a woman showing her husband some of her techniques and him showing her some of his techniques.
Everyone's got their special moves.
And no money is exchanged, no abuse, no nothing.
And they're married and they're a couple.
And they're married, they have 2 children, and that's it.
But you're still missing something, Chris. So, because I remember you were so upset about this case. I remember.
Yeah, but I thought this was a slam dunk. This would never happen.
There was a reasonable hypothetical previously put forward that.
All right.
And they said was unreasonable. It would never happen.
So what happened was this legislation, all right, was challenged because the thing is, doctors have money, all right, but then as you go down the list of the people who fall under the umbrella group of regulated health professionals, you get to less and less. So the Chinese traditional acupuncturists, for example, are not making $400,000 a year and are able to afford, high-priced lawyers and so on and so forth. So the doctors have managed to get things changed, okay, such that...
not that we wouldn't have given him a massive break anyways. We'll talk about that later, because we would have gone to the wall for him anyways. But.
Well, I did, first of all, because he did not have money, as you know. But so because of course, as it was phrased, all right, initially passed, a doctor, if her husband is feeling a touch hot, and she measures his temperature. Guess what?
This is the hypothetical, right?
Well, yeah, right. Guess what? Well,
Well, wait, just stop for a second because your storytelling is so fabulous that I think we lost people on the precise point here. That a reasonable hypothetical is a regular thing that people do in.
They could become an offense, right? And it shouldn't be.
Right. So when challenging a piece of legislation, you can either say, look, what occurred in this particular instance of the facts before the court is so unreasonable, okay, to be captured by this provision that it should be struck down. Or you can say, you know what, this provision is so stupid, it would actually capture this hypothetical, all right, that you capture exactly what we described. So this provision was actually challenged, and the problem that I had was the first step to challenging it for one of these regulatory offenses is you challenge it to the Superior Court, and then if you lose there, then you got to challenge it to the Court of Appeal. And the Court of Appeal upheld this provision not once but twice, explicitly on the basis that, look, nobody would be so stupid.
This is real. I know we may be losing people watching this, but this is actually real. So this is really important. This is what the Court of Appeal said. Nobody would be stupid enough to be
to
convicted, prosecute, and find somebody guilty of this.
Nobody would prosecute a person like this. This is ridiculous. You cannot possibly do this, right? So no, we're going to uphold this legislation because your reasonable hypothetical is unreasonable because nobody would ever do this, right?
And it was almost precisely the thing.
Boom.
It's exactly what
right?
happened.
And that's what happened.
And even though we wanted to help him go further, he just gave up. His life fell apart.
Right. Well, that's exactly.
And he just said, "F it."
Yeah. I mean, that's.
You have to. It's not just about money, because we were prepared to just do it for payment of disbursements. Forget about legal fees.
Right.
It's also the emotional and psychological fortitude to go forward, because they divorced.
Yeah, they divorced over
lost his business.
Totally. He's,
well, they were divorcing at the time of the claim, right? So
by the time it got to the
hearing. All right.
And she still wouldn't testify against him.
No, she was not. She was not.
Because she wasn't sexually abused.
But
she wasn't abused.
But you can imagine the pressure of this on their finances as a couple, and how that had, an effect on their quality of marriage that also led to their demise, and then what ensued afterward. I mean, he lost everything. He lost his marriage. His business was down the drain. He just said, "I'm done. I don't want to do it. I don't want to fight anymore."
I know. By the time you get through, but she wouldn't have even had the ability to say, as the victim, I don't want him prosecuted, because she wasn't the victim.
Correct. That's exactly it. Right. But
this was really victimless.
There
was no
crime. There was nothing. There was nothing. There
was no regulatory breach here.
Practicing the massage techniques on each other to see if it works well.
But this is a real story.
But this is a real story, and this is mission creep. This is where you start with a zero tolerance policy, right? You just it sounds good.
Or you start with a hybrid court in Quebec.
No, but that's a good point. You start with zero tolerance.
You start out with a very good, lofty goal: root out sexual abuse. Everybody's in favor of that, but then you throw in something like, okay, we're going to have zero tolerance. No matter what the facts are, we're not going to give the tribunal any sort of wiggle room because we fear that. All right. And then there's the unintended consequences. So then we don't look at, because if you poll the public, if you poll the MPs who pass these laws, they think about doctors and psychiatrists. They don't think about the other 15 other, category. A speech therapist. All right. Like sexual abuse by a speech therapist.
Yeah, okay. No, actually, it's just interesting if you can't practice on your spouse, if you correct the way your partner said a word, like schedule versus schedule or something like that.
Privacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's go back for a second to what we started with. If you have this zero tolerance, like this lofty idea of cutting out, all this process because this is presumptively an abuse. Look at how it infected this area, and very good people practicing legitimate healthcare services, and then how you can apply that to criminal law and what we're seeing about cutting out your trial in a sexual assault case or a domestic assault case. You can see how that the ideology, the idea to try and protect true victims, but it gets abused. And look how it got abused here, and how it will be abused in a hybrid system, how it will be abused by that idiot who started the conversation with me on the weekend over social media, if this is allowed to happen. And that is frightening.
So again, go to the Not on Record podcast, hit like, hit subscribe, put the little bell on for notifications, because YouTube doesn't like to tell you when interesting content's going online again. All of this stuff is interesting, and hang out with me and Joseph, and from time to time Chris Assie, to find out more insane stories from the legal system, what's happening in Canada. Take care. Hopefully talk to you soon.